Hello and welcome to Embrace Her Evolution. This podcast celebrates the limitless power within every woman. I'll be your host, Amanda Aguilar. I'm an Emmy Award-winning TV news reporter, an empowerment speaker, a mental health advocate, and your biggest cheerleader. Together, we'll embrace the twists and turns of life, from personal growth to relationships, career aspirations, and everything in between. If you're trying to level up, if you're ready to rediscover that confidence you lost, if you want to learn how to create a life you love and deserve, then stick around. Embrace Her Evolution will give you the insight and tools to bridge the gap between knowing better and doing better. I am so excited to join you on this incredible journey. So buckle up, babe. It is time to embrace your evolution. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 6th episode of Embrace Her Evolution. I freaking missed y'all. I hope y'all are having a good 2024 so far. I'm not gonna lie, first week of the new year was freaking rough for me. It came out swinging. I'm like swinging my arms. I'm like throwing hands right now because that is what the first week of 2024 did with me. But we are good. Let me tell y'all, I am really entering a new season of my life. I have made huge life decisions, and it's only January. I can't wait to share everything with you, but let me tell y'all, I know it's really cliche to be like, this is my year, but 2024, it is my year. I'm saying it right now. But anyways, let's get into this episode because this is an episode I have been waiting to record. I'm freaking excited. This is honestly a way for me to celebrate a huge milestone. 1 year of sobriety, baby, and some change. I am just super excited to share my sober journey because I've been very open about it on Instagram, social media. I've posted a lot of things. I posted a lot of sober memes. I post my mocktail moments. And it's really cool because I've gotten a lot of messages from people just wanting to learn more, just asking about my sober journey and my experience. And I freaking love that because let's normalize being sober, can we? If you really think about it, alcohol is the only substance, yes, it is a substance. It is the only substance that has become normalized and socially acceptable. Like, for example, when you tell someone, I say this because I've experienced this in my sober journey, when you tell someone you aren't drinking, and especially if you're a woman, the first thing they said, "Oh my God, are you pregnant?" But then they're like, "Oh my God, why? That sounds so boring. Why? Come on, just one shot, just tonight. Come on." Like something's wrong with you if you aren't drinking. But if you were to say, "Yeah, I'm just laying off the heroin for a while, just need a little break," no one bats an eye. So it is time. Let's stop glamorizing alcohol. Let's glamorize sobriety in a very boozy culture. My sober journey actually started in January of last year. It started with dry January. A lot of people think that dry January is for someone who struggles with drinking, but that's so far from the truth. A lot of people do dry January for different reasons. Yeah, maybe they are struggling with drinking. Maybe they just want to focus on their physical health, mental health more. Maybe they want to be able to save more money. So there are so many different reasons people start dry January. For me, I don't consider myself as someone who drank a lot. I don't think I struggled with alcohol. But when I would drink, I drank hella. I didn't know how to moderate my drinking. So no, my frequency wasn't a lot, but when I would drink, it was 2 mixed drinks and shots after shots after shots after shots. Like I could not control myself. So I started dry January really just to challenge my discipline. I struggle with discipline, especially when it comes to focusing on my physical health. Like, I can go to the gym for 2 weeks and then I just fall off. I can meal prep for 1 week and then I just absolutely stop. So, I wanted to show myself that I can do hard things because let me tell you, dry January is hard. That's why a lot of people don't want to do it because they already know it's going to be difficult. But I wanted to show myself that, Amanda, when you say you're going to do something, you stick to it, girl. So during dry January, I used that time to examine my relationship with alcohol. And it was not healthy. And honestly, I don't think you can really have a healthy relationship with alcohol. So I learned it wasn't healthy, and I also had to be real AF with myself. And I did not like who I was when I was drunk. I've heard a lot of my friends say, I love when you get drunk. Like, you're so fun. You're such a good time. Like, yes, this probably was a good time. But after, I would just hate myself. Not only did I hate who I was when I was drunk, but after, I just hated that feeling. I blacked out a lot. So I would always wake up just like, what did I do? What did I say? Like, the anxiety was so bad. I hated that feeling. I just remember this conversation I had with a friend on Thanksgiving or our Friendsgiving. And we were talking about my sober journey, how it's been going. And he kind of laughed and joked and he was like, yeah, whenever we drink, we never knew what Amanda we were going to get. And it's so freaking true. You never knew which Amanda was about to come out that night. Were you going to get sad Amanda who would freaking lock herself in a pantry and cry? Or were you going to get happy and fun Amanda, la-di-da-di-da Amanda? Or were you going to get aggressive Amanda who freaking threw her heels at her ex because he pissed her off? Or were you going to get Hot Mess Express Amanda who you had to leave the club for because her face was in the toilet and she got kicked out by the bouncer? You just never knew. It was like Russian roulette. You didn't know who you were going to get. But what I knew is I hated all those versions of Amanda. And speaking of not liking who I was when I was drunk, a specific memory actually comes to mind right now. And I'm not sure if anyone else experiences this. I'm sure other people do experience this, but word vomit. You're saying too much and saying things out loud that should just stay in your freaking head. So when I'm drunk, I can be a little chatty Cathy, okay? So there was one night I was at a party and I was wasted. I actually blacked out that night. But before I blacked out, I remember talking to a friend. And completely unprovoked, I brought up how she and my close friend were talking and I was asking how everything was going. And then word vomit, just word vomit. I started talking a little too much, sharing a little too much on a situation that I had no reason speaking on because it didn't even freaking involve me. So it ended up getting back to my close friend about what I said, and he was pissed, rightfully so. I was speaking about him, he wasn't even there, and I was sharing things he trusted me to not share with others. And he was disappointed, especially because this wasn't the first time this has happened. So this incident and all the other incidents before, it just built up a lot of tension in our friendship. And he confronted me about this and he felt betrayed. He told me he felt betrayed and there was just a lot of mistrust in our friendship. And we haven't talked since then. And that was back in December of 2021. And that was a big wake-up call because it showed me that alcohol can really strain a friendship. Alcohol strained a friendship that I had. And it opened my eyes to the negative impact of drinking. Also, a part of examining my relationship with alcohol meant I needed to figure out why I was turning to alcohol. And there were a lot of reasons, but the overarching theme was I turned to alcohol to numb my feelings and avoid facing any problems in my life. Now, I can't speak for everyone, but I know most of us grew up in households where you didn't get taught to feel your feelings. You never felt your feelings. You just used something to distract you from what you were feeling. I don't share this a lot. I don't think I've actually ever shared this with people, but I saw my own dad use alcohol when he was stressed, when he was overwhelmed, when he was angry. And I honestly can't even blame him because our parents weren't taught to process their emotions. So when they grew up, when they got older, when they had kids, the kids, us, we saw them not process their emotions. And then we get conditioned to also not process our emotions. So once I started drinking, and I started drinking when I was in high school, I think like a sophomore. So I don't know, 14, 15 years old around then. I would drink whenever I would feel a big emotion that was just very uncomfortable. And for me, sadness was a really uncomfortable emotion for me. So I would always drink when I was sad. I vividly remember a time in my life where I was doing this. I was living in Kansas, so this was 2016 to 2019, and I had met a guy at a club. I'm like cringing just saying that. I met a guy at a club. Fun fact, my parents actually met at a disco club. So when I found that out, I was like, I'm going to meet my husband at a club. Girl, no. Anyways, so I met this guy at a club. We totally hit it off, hung out after the club, had a really good conversation, just super comfortable with each other. And we started to hang out more and more. And old Amanda would fall hard and she would fall fast. And she would also fall for potential. So I fell for this guy's potential and I was just like, I saw him as this kind of like project, right? A lot of women, we see guys as this project. You want to fix them. You know how great they can be, and you are going to be that woman to make them into this great man. So that's what I saw in this guy. And I was very much in this mindset of like, I'm going to help him reach his goals, and then he's going to see that I was the one that helped him reach his goals, and he's going to realize he needs me in his life. I'm this whole package. I'm this amazing woman. And so I was doing all of this. I was giving to get nothing back. And then only for him to tell me, yeah, I don't really want to be in a serious relationship right now. I just got out of a long-term relationship. But, I would love to still talk to you and hang out with you. Basically, bro wanted the girlfriend benefits without the title. And old Amanda had no boundaries or respect for herself, so she went along with it. And she honestly used that opportunity to be like, he's going to recognize my worth and he's going to be like, you know what? I do want a serious relationship with her. That situationship, me giving with nothing in return, that went on for like 6 months. 6 months, too long. And it was just filled with, it was not a good situationship. It was toxic. It was filled with gaslighting, narcissism, ghosting, all the things. Thankfully, it ended, but it ended because I saw him post a Snapchat going on a date with another girl, and then they ended up officially dating, having the boyfriend-girlfriend title. And I remember just crying, hyperventilating, crying to my friends. Why did he choose her? Why did he do this to me? What does she have that I don't have? And mind you, this wasn't the first guy who told me, oh, I'm not ready for a serious relationship, only to date the girl right after me. And because it wasn't the first time, all the pain and sadness that I felt from other guys, I don't even want to say that I felt because I didn't truly allow myself to feel it. All that pain and sadness like just amplified during that moment. And so what did I do? I would drink. I was drinking every weekend, sometimes the weeknights. Mind you, I was on the morning shift, so I had to be at work at 3:30, but I would still go out the night before because when I was out and I was drinking, I just felt better about myself. I was in this like, F him, like he's missing out on the greatest thing of his life. Like, I don't need him. I'm the whole package. He's going to regret this. And then the alcohol wore off. And then I was back to, oh my gosh, why did he choose her? What could I have done better? Why didn't he see I'm the whole package? I could be the woman to change his life. And I hated feeling like that. So I just started drinking again because alcohol is temporary. All the happiness, the liquid confidence you feel with alcohol, it's all temporary. And then you go back to those emotions, those problems in your life, and then you just drink again. It's a cycle. Because I numbed all my emotions, I never fully became aware of why I was even feeling the way I was feeling. I never dug into why him dating another girl made me feel so sad. And let's be honest, during that time, I didn't even have the tools to do that type of deep introspection. And I also didn't know it was so important to do that. Processing your emotions is such an undervalued skill. Let me tell you, if you want to learn more about yourself, process your freaking emotions. When you are able to face your emotions, when you dig into why an emotion is coming up for you, you are able to discover the true root cause. And that is when you can start doing the work. That is when you will see the real growth. Now, do y'all remember in episode 1, I was talking about how I was in a similar situation with another guy when I was living in Georgia just a few years after? Same story, different face. Emotionally unavailable guy, gave him so much of my time and effort, yada, 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 only for him to leave me for another girl. But that specific situation in Georgia with this guy, it dragged me to such a low point in my life. I had awful anxiety. I was depressed. I mean, I was physically and mentally sick. I was not eating. And if I was eating, I'd go home and throw up because I just couldn't stomach down any food. I dropped 10 pounds and I was crying every morning, every freaking night, like in the car on my way to stories. It was bad. And as I said in episode 1, that really was the catalyst to my own self-love journey. That is when I learned how low my self-worth was. And it was only until last year when I started doing my sober journey that I had this aha moment, this realization. As I said, I drank every time a guy hurt me. So I didn't process that pain and understand it. I didn't let my emotions guide me to what I was actually experiencing. Because in reality, I wasn't sad that these guys didn't choose me. I wasn't hurt because they played me for another girl. No, the root was I felt sad because them not choosing me meant I was unworthy and I was unlovable. Now, I know that's not true. That was just the belief, the thought I had. And if there's one thing I've learned in my self-love journey, thoughts are just thoughts. They are not fact. But that's what I believed. That was my subconscious belief that I was unworthy and I was unlovable. What they did to me, how they treated me, it just dug deep into my unworthy wound, which is something that goes back to childhood. I'm sure my fellow Asians and daughters of immigrants can relate to this. When I would put my all into school, I'd have a test or homework and I really worked hard on it. I really studied for it. And then I would get it back with a grade I thought was really good, but then I showed my parents and it wasn't good enough. And then you'd get in trouble for it. That made me believe that my worth is tied to success. Success in academics, success in my career, success in a relationship, success in a friendship. Oh, I didn't get the promotion at my job. It's because you're unworthy. Oh, that guy doesn't want to be with you. Oh, it's because you're unworthy. And this unworthy wound is something I have been tackling since my self-love journey started. And no matter how much growing I do, no matter how many tools I add to my toolbox, it still shows up to this day because it is that deep. But I will say this is why I love doing this deep work, because you realize we have so many subconscious beliefs that really impact how we show up in our life. And it was all formed during childhood. And it's our responsibility to unlearn those beliefs that don't serve us. So getting back to what I was saying about drinking when I was sad and all these guys that have hurt me. All along, I just had low self-worth. And I didn't know that in Kansas because what did I do? I drank and I numbed the pain. I never got to address my low self-worth. And honestly, I don't even think I knew how to begin addressing low self-worth. And even if I did, I was very much still in victim mode back then. I blamed everything on anybody but me. So it would have been difficult to take accountability and then work on my self-worth. And honestly, it is no wonder why when the same thing that happened in Kansas happened in Georgia, it hit me 10 mother freaking times harder. There's a quote by Sigmund Freud, "Unexpressed emotions will never die. They are buried alive and will come forth in uglier ways." And that's what happened to me in freaking Georgia, y'all. Because I didn't express my sadness. I didn't get deep and figure out that I was having low self-worth. It came back in freaking Georgia and it knocked me down. It knocked me down, put me in a freaking headlock. Like I was at such a low point. I had no other option but to start finally doing the work to create positive change for myself. You know, oftentimes we don't know what we need to improve on in our life. Like in Kansas, I had no idea I lacked self-worth and ultimately self-love. And then there are other times where we do. We are aware of the problem, but we're not ready to take accountability. And that's where alcohol comes in because we can just forget it even exists. It all just disappears. So I'll give you an example. Like many people, drinking after a long day at work or at the end of a long work week, that was just something I always looked forward to. If I had a stressful day at work, I'd open a bottle of Moscato when I got home. Or if it was a rough week for me and my coworkers, get in the car, loser. We're taking shots. We're taking shots, rounds. And that's just how I relieved my stress. But I knew I was getting burnt out from work. I knew burnout was the problem. And alcohol, well, it temporarily fixed the problem because I was still freaking burnt out. And that's the thing. We think alcohol solves life's problems, but it doesn't. It just got me further and further away from addressing the issue at hand, my burnout. It took therapy and a self-love program, not alcohol. It took therapy and a self-love program for me to find solutions to my burnout. So looking back, all alcohol did was prevent me from growing. It temporarily numbed my emotions so I could never figure out the root cause of those emotions. It temporarily made me forget about my problems in my life, which stopped me from finding actual solutions. And as someone who has become dedicated to doing the inner work, I am very intentional about what and who I allow in my life. Anyone or anything that doesn't serve me, out. Get out. So during my sober journey, it was a wake-up call for me. A wake-up call that alcohol was not serving me in the way I thought it was. It was literally holding me back from becoming the best version of myself. So I said, if you ain't gonna help me grow, you gotta go. You gotta go. Please exit stage left. Thank you. Thank you. Why do you think I titled this episode Pouring into My Growth instead of a shot glass? Side note, give me my motherfucking flowers for that title because let me tell y'all, that is creative AF. I'm a freaking poet. Sis is a damn poet. Anyways, sobriety really allowed me to pour into my growth. And I don't know about y'all, but I would rather do that than pour into a shot glass that just prevents me from doing what I want to do, and that's grow. Sometimes when I tell people I'm on a sober journey, I hear them say, wow, you gave up alcohol. And I try my best to stay away from saying that, saying I gave up alcohol, I gave up something, because baby, I didn't give up anything. With sobriety, you don't give up something. You gain everything back, everything you lose with alcohol. When people message me about my sober journey, I get a lot of people asking, what was the hardest part? Was it craving a drink and knowing I have to keep myself away from that drink, was that the hardest part? No, no. The hardest part about being on a sober journey is facing yourself. So now you're probably asking, okay, Amanda, how did you do it? How did you face yourself sober with no alcohol, with no distraction, with no crutch? Well, you're going to have to listen to part 2 of this episode. I don't know why I was so excited to give you this like little cliffhanger, but there really isn't a cliffhanger because I released part 1 and part 2 together. So you don't have to wait. I'm not like one of those damn Netflix shows out there. Side note, if you are looking for an easy Netflix binge, School Spirits, y'all, School Spirits. But I will tell you, they do leave you on a cliffhanger. So anyways, totally distracted. Oh my gosh. I cannot wait for y'all to listen to part 2. I hope y'all loved this episode. And I really do hope you finish listening to this episode and feeling validated. If you resonated with anything I shared, I love that because I don't want you to feel alone. Because so many people that I know that are also on their sober journey, they also turn to alcohol to numb emotions, to forget about their problems. But just know there are healthy ways to move about it. If it is possible for me to do it, it is possible for you. Thank you so much for tuning in to Embrace Her Evolution. If you loved this episode, or maybe you have a few more questions, feel free to hit me up about it. I have my email in the episode description. And while you're there, make sure you sign up for my email list. This will keep you up to date on everything Embrace Her Evolution. Plus, it will give you access to some free worksheets. Right now, I'm offering a jealousy map worksheet. I talk about this in episode 3. So if you haven't listened to it, go listen to it now. It will help you use the feeling of jealousy as a map to your desires. I truly believe a way to embrace your evolution is by sitting by yourself and doing reflection, and these worksheets will help you get started. Once again, you can find a link to that in the episode description. You'll also find my Instagram there. I love, love, love connecting with people, so make sure you give me a follow. And from the bottom of my heart, thank you for allowing me to be a part of your evolution.